Movie Dispatch, the movie review show from friends you can trust. Every week we broadcast a review of a new film, talk about some film news, and recommend what to watch. We've been talking, critiquing, and gushing over movies since we were in high school, and we aim to bring you honest conversations on relevant cinema because we're friends and we like talking movies. That's what we do. I'm Nick Moffat, and I'm here with my good buddy Derek Deal.
Yo, how's it going?
What's that? Oh, dude, it's going. It's going good. The sun is out still. Summer is on its way. And
Yeah.
I just watched a great movie that I'm excited to talk to you about.
Sweet. Hey, me too. I watched that same movie.
Oh, good. Man, how awkward would it be if we watched different movies by accident?
That would suck.
Oh man, I thought we were reviewing that new Guy Ritchie movie. Although I heard that movie was pretty good though.
Yeah, Wrath of
I
Man.
Yeah, I just haven't been to the theater yet,
Yeah,
but
same. I
maybe
think I'm
that'll be.
think I'm holding out for Fast and Furious.
Ooh, really? You're gonna wait that long?
Yeah, I mean it's not that long, a little over a
That's true.
month, but yeah.
See, my birthday's in 2 weeks, and I like to go to the movies on
Mm,
my birthday, so I think I might go then.
yeah.
But anyway, today though we're talking about a movie that is available on digital rental. It's called Shiva Baby. But before we get started on talking about that movie, we're going to talk about some other exciting movie stuff, and that is in the last week, Marvel, the MCU announced their new slate, and it's kind of like a re-announce. They kind of stepped back. They did their whole Phase Four announcement, and a lot of it was like so far out that it was hard to truly conceptualize. I don't know about you, but it was like, okay, I don't know what WandaVision is.
Yeah.
Black Widow, not that exciting, and okay, so Spider-Man's coming out in like 2 years, Thor like 4 years.
Yeah.
And, and they just put out a like COVID's on its way back to from recovery, and they just put out a trailer that was like highlighting the movies that are coming out again. And I mean, I don't know about you, man, but I found it pretty exciting.
Yeah. No, for sure. Kind of get a little emotional, like just like not just because it's the MCU, but it's like, god damn, I want to go back to like the theaters and just like I remember how awesome it was getting to see all these movies in the past 10 years, with the MCU. And
Yeah,
it was just cool for them to put out this thing that was just kind of like, we're still here. And we're like, not only are we here, but we're still putting out 3 movies this year. Plus, like, there's already been 2 TV shows and another one comes out next month. And it's just cool to see that they're like keeping up with the quality, they're keeping up with the pace, and
totally.
they're not looking to slow down.
And especially after WandaVision and the Falcon and Winter Soldier, I mean, I think reviews on those, there are opinions to be had,
Mm-hmm.
but I found both of them pretty fascinating in what they were doing.
Yeah.
If that's what Phase Four is going to be like, kind of big swings like both of those,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm all for it. I'm very excited for the continuation of Phase Four, and that trailer really highlighted the movies that are coming out.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to just go down the list really quick because the titles are what's exciting, and there were a few title changes too that I found interesting that I want to touch upon. So, Black Widow coming out in July 9th, 2021. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings in September of this year. Eternals coming out November of this year. And Spider-Man No Way Home is also coming in December this year. So
Oh, four
we have
movies.
four
Jeez.
MCU movies coming out this year. It's like
Good God.
it's hard to believe.
Yeah.
And all of those two are sound really interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not super excited about Black Widow, but you know, the other four are quite interesting. Like the one of the first Asian superheroes,
Mm-hmm.
Eternals, which is now by Oscar-winning director Chloe
Mm-hmm.
Zhao, and Spider-Man No Way Home, which I was a big fan of the last Spider-Man, and I
Yeah.
loved how they left it on a cliffhanger.
Right.
So I'm really eager to see which direction they go with this new Spider-Man movie.
Yeah. I mean, this could be like one of the better phases. Like just looking at the list of directors, it's like, damn, we get a new Sam Raimi movie even in this phase.
Right. So
Like,
that's the next year. So in
yeah.
2022, we have Doctor Strange in the multiverse of madness. What a title. Uh, Thor: Love and Thunder, another Taika Waititi film. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever,
Mm-hmm.
and The Marvels coming out in 2022.
Yeah.
So that's also really exciting. I mean, man, Doctor Strange in the multiverse of madness. That title alone is thrilling.
Yeah. And we know it's
And
probably gonna, pick up. One sounds like WandaVision's kind of feeding right into whatever that storyline's gonna be.
yeah, and there's all sorts of rumors about Spider-Man too. Like
Yeah.
I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what's been confirmed, but there are rumors that other Spider-Men could appear in it. They could open the Spider-Verse. Doctor Octopus, I think, was rumored to be in it from Spider-Man 2,
Mm-hmm.
which is interesting because now Sam Raimi is doing Doctor Strange.
Right. Yeah.
So that like ties together in a fun way.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, the title changes I mentioned earlier though are Black Panther Wakanda Forever, which it was just supposed to be Black Panther 2.
Yeah.
And then Chadwick Boseman passed away, RIP, and they changed it to Wakanda Forever. So I think they're going to pick up. I'm not sure. I don't think anyone knows what they're doing, but
Yeah.
I don't think they're recasting them. So I think they'll probably do
Yeah.
something
I
where they
doubt it.
find another Black Panther or um, they'll continue the story of Wakanda.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Marvels, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Um, because that's a sequel to Captain Marvel. So instead of it being Captain Marvel 2, it's the Marvels.
Right.
And I don't know how much you know about the Marvels, but I mean, I don't know too much, but I know that there are other Marvel-like characters, like similar to Captain Marvel, but like Miss Marvel as a teenager,
And I
and I
think
think
she
that
has a
she's
show or something coming out too.
okay.
Like they've casted her and announced the show and everything. I think they even have like a teaser trailer for it. But I don't
Huh.
know if it's like a Disney Plus show or what because they haven't really talked about it a whole lot. It's kind of weird.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
So, but either way, that's interesting. That's not just Captain Marvel. It's going to be the Marvels.
Right.
So they're opening that up a little bit.
Hmm.
And then in 2023, there's going to be a new Ant-Man movie
Mm-hmm.
and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And then
Finally.
there's going to be Fantastic Four, which
Yes.
is very cool, very exciting, and that one's just TBA.
Yeah.
No one knows anything about that one.
They really love John Watts, man. I like it's kind of weird that they announced him as the director so far ahead of time. Uh, like his Spider-Man hasn't even come out yet, and they're like teasing that he's directing that, uh, which can be good. Like one thing, like since they announced him as director, the one thing I really like in his Spider-Man movies is like the teen comedy stuff and like the kind of the lighthearted humor. Like he's got a good sense of humor, and I think what I hope they do with the Fantastic Four because they've done like multiple Fantastic Four movies and they've never really done it that well. But I think it would be cool if they did the same approach they did with Homecoming, which is let's not do an origin story again because we've done it twice and like neither of them were very good. And if they do like the fan casting that people have been wanting forever, like John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic and Emily Blunt, like this movie could be huge. And if they bring in like if it starts off with like them with their family and everything already, I like that sounds exactly right down John Watts' alley. Like this kind of family, uh, big sci-fi space comedy kind of thing. Sounds really fascinating to me. It's
Yeah,
fantastic.
that's some,
Since I've picked up reading Marvel comics over the last year, like through quarantine and stuff, Fantastic Four is far and away my favorite. Like they're just,
really.
it's so good. And Doctor Doom and stuff. Eventually, if they bring him in,
They have to, right?
yeah,
I
they
mean,
have
he's
to.
like an all-time bad guy. I mean, I
Yeah.
feel like he could be a bad guy against the Avengers as a unit.
Oh yeah, he's so good. He's my favorite and like Marvel character. He's like the most fascinating person. But So I'm really
Yeah.
excited. You know, when they first announced all this, like at Comic Con or whatever it was, or D23 like years ago, I was like, it was like right after Endgame, and I was just like exhausted and just like, I'm not looking forward to this. But now you fast forward a couple years and they put out this trailer. I'm so ready for this. I'm so excited. So
Yeah, dude, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. I just, for me, WandaVision was the thing that kind of got me excited about Marvel.
yeah,
You know,
me too.
I wasn't ever burnt out, but I was like, okay, let's see how they move on after Endgame.
Mm,
Because I mean, it's Endgame. It
yeah,
was the Endgame. We're no longer in the Endgame.
yeah,
And where do you go after that? And to see WandaVision, which I know it had flaws, I loved pretty much every second of it, but
hmm,
I think a complaint about it was that it kind of promised more than it delivered in terms of like weirdness.
yeah,
It which I was fine with because overall I just thought it was an amazing show about grief.
yeah,
To have this weird sci-fi Marvel comic book show actually be telling a story about loss and pain and moving on from the death of a loved one. I
yeah,
think that's some really powerful stuff. But I kind of think just looking at the slate, it's like you know the names alone, it's like they have to be opening the multiverse. They have
yeah,
to be doing some weird stuff, and maybe WandaVision was just testing the waters of some of those weird things to see if fans were ready for it.
yeah,
And I think we're ready for it.
yeah. I agree. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm very excited. Um, Soon we'll be talking about Black Widow,
Yeah,
and then we'll all of a sudden be talking about Thor.
yeah.
A year from now we'll be talking about Thor.
And
So
a Chloe Zhao directed $200 million Marvel movie.
that is so weird. Just like thinking about Nomadland, that person is in a huge comic book movie.
Yeah,
From what I understand, though, she's using a lot of practical special effects and shooting on location
yeah.
in Amazon warehouses. Just kidding. But yeah, very excited, very
Yeah,
exciting stuff. So I say cheers to Marvel and
yeah,
cheers to the future of going to the movies, and hopefully we all get vaccinated and we're going to the movies is safe
yeah.
and we don't have to delay any of this. But let's move on and talk about this movie that we watched.
Let's do it.
Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
Are you ready for it? Okay.
Hmm.
So, me and Derek, we watched this movie called Shiva Baby. It was directed by Emma. I'm sorry. It was directed by Emma Seligman. I'm so bad at pronouncing names. I'm sorry,
It's a
everybody.
tough name.
Seligman, and it stars Rachel Sonnet, Molly Gordon, Fred Mellamand, and Polly Draper. A few other people too, but the plot description: a college student attends a family Shiva where she is accosted by her relatives, outshined by her ex-girlfriend, and face to face with her sugar daddy and his family. And like I said before, you can definitely stream this movie anytime now. It's available for rental. I personally rented it on Amazon. It was like $4, I think, and very much worth it. It feels kind of good, renting indie movies like this. Not as good as going to the video store and actually like renting it with my hands,
Hmm.
but I don't mind throwing out $4 or $5 to for an indie movie like this.
Yeah. Yeah, me neither. Yeah, I actually kind of it's been really nice, like you said. That yeah, it feels like going out to the store. Like I kind of like the experience of having a limited time to watch a movie for some reason. It's like I don't know, it feels more like an event or like a you're doing something as opposed to just like turning on whatever's on, you know.
Totally. So, I picked this movie for a few reasons. The number one reason, honestly, is just it was getting good buzz, and I'm doing this project this year. I'm watching 52 movies directed by women, and this is obviously I said it before, directed by a woman, and tells a story of this young college student, and The reason I'm doing this project is because, last year I probably saw 300 new movies.
Mm.
Not brand new of that year, but like movies that I hadn't seen before. And I did the math, and like out of those 300, I had like 33 that were directed by women. And that just didn't seem right. And I felt like I need to make more of an effort for it. And so I'm making that effort. I think I talked about this a couple weeks ago when we did Saint Maud. And I'm just trying to take in more movies by women and amplify those voices. And this was a great choice for that kind of mindset because it was very much a movie, about women. And
Yeah.
the other cool thing about this movie, the other perspective that I think isn't often in cinema is it's about a bisexual woman. This young lady, she's a college student, and she's with a man in the movie. She's having sex with this guy, but at the she also has this ex-girlfriend that is at the funeral that she's at. And they kind of have like this like energy within them. They talk about how they went to prom together, and it was like a whole thing. And it just, you don't see many movies where bisexuality is so explicit. Sometimes it's, in the subtext, and it's
Mm.
kind of fun to like look into it. But I can hardly think of any movies where they're very open about the bisexuality.
Yeah.
I enjoyed seeing that perspective on screen.
Those two
And
actors too had so much chemistry. Like from the first moment you see like her friend get out of the car, it's like it's just this weird energy, and it's like it's great. It's really really
right,
well done.
so the main character is Rachel Sonnet, which I don't know if I've seen her in anything else,
Mm-mm.
but her friend, who she went or her ex girlfriend, Molly Gordon, that I've seen her in some things. She was in um, what's the Olivia Wilde directed movie about graduation?
Oh,
Blanking out right
Booksmart.
now. Booksmart, yeah, she was in Booksmart as the like kind of rival smart girl. She
Oh
like
yeah,
gave
you're
him a
right.
ride later on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she looked familiar.
So yeah, so she's really good. I think both of them have like a future a little bit. I think both of them are. We're gonna see them both in more movies coming up.
Yeah.
And yeah, so just to give you a quick rundown of this movie, I think that plot description was pretty apt. The movie starts in immediately she's having sex with this guy, and it's like, it's a wide shot, and they're like having sex in the background, but it's like, it's loud, and that's like, it's kind of an abrasive way to start the movie. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, so that's what's happening in this movie.
I
Okay,
think
here we
the
go.
sound starts on the black screen too.
Right,
Even.
right, the very explicit sound.
Mm.
And then uh and then they finish, and they come over, and she's like getting ready to leave, and they have this exchange that's very complicated. He kind of makes a comment about her going to see another guy and maybe getting money from him, and she like says, yeah, that's definitely what I'm doing. I'm going to go get money from someone else. And they kind of like laugh about it, but then she's like, no, but really give me money. And then he like gives her money, and you're like, wait, she's not hooking. Maybe she is, but okay. And then they have this like weird embrace, and it's like, who, I'm watching it, me and Shannon, and we're going, okay, who has the power here? What's going on? It's immediately I
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay, so this movie is going to have some like complicated dynamics. There's going to be some like cross contamination, sort of like where do feelings lie, sort of movie.
Yeah.
And then she immediately goes to this Shiva, this Jewish memorial funeral. And it's wild. And then the the whole movie takes place there. The whole
Yeah.
movie is at in this one location inside this house at this funeral. And they yeah, she's constantly being bombarded by these people at the funeral. Just relatives or friends, and they're all just like kind of just talking at her. And it's very anxiety producing. And it's like, I was talking to a friend of the show, Cal Shea, about this earlier. And it's kind of like he's a big fan of movies where they're trapped in one location.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of one of those movies. And even though
Yeah.
she could get out, she could leave, she can't, though, because she's there with her parents, and they're too busy chit-chatting with people, like there's a scene where she's like, I need to leave right now, but her mom's talking to the rabbi, so what is she gonna do?
Mm.
And it's full of that sort of kind of dynamic. And then so she's at this funeral, and then her ex-girlfriend shows up, and then that guy she was just sleeping with, her sugar daddy, shows up, and it's quickly revealed that he has not just a wife but also a baby that's like 13 months old or something.
Yeah.
They say the
18
age,
months,
but
I think she says.
18 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, the baby's huge, but also they bring it in its carrier,
The car seat thing.
the car seat. Yeah, she like brings in the car seat, and I'm like, I don't know about an 18-month-old like in a car seat like that. Like it just that whole experience was like kind of surreal with the baby, but I think it was supposed to be surreal a little bit because she had no idea what to do with those emotions throughout the whole movie
Yeah.
with the baby. The baby was kind of like prop a little bit
Yeah.
for how crazy she was feeling.
Yeah.
Anyway, though, I really enjoyed this movie. Though I had a blast with it. Like I said before, it was really truly anxiety producing. Like they did it so masterfully, where they had these close-up shots of her just kind of like struggling to stay in control of herself, where people were just like standing on the edge of the frame just yapping at her and asking her questions and making comments about whatever, and she's like looking around the room and seeing people that she doesn't want to talk to and staring them down, and the music is like picking up like like a horror movie, and
Yeah.
it's like tension. And I don't know about you, but I'm sitting there like shaking, holding my body, being like, "This is so anxiety producing. This is crazy."
Yeah.
And then but then I found myself going, "Wait a second, Nick. Pay attention to what's happening." Like kind of mindfulness, like I like okay, take a step back and listen to what they're talking about. And
Hmm.
you take a step back, and even though you're like full of dread and anxiety, you listen to what these people that are yapping at her and what they're saying,
Yeah.
and they're saying these like just random Jewish insults. They're
Right.
just being judgmental and like weird, and even though I'm not Jewish, like it's like I can imagine being at a family gathering like that and
Hmm.
seeing and being a part of like that sort of you know nitpicky critique
Yeah.
of yourself and every single other person in the room.
Yeah.
And then once I sat back and realized like that's what was happening, that truly like nothing that terrible was happening, and it was just like mindless insults.
Yeah.
I found those scenes hilarious.
Yeah.
And I would just start laughing and laughing and laughing. And I think that's the central tenet of this movie, is that it's like it's so anxiety producing, but if you're able to like, take the broad view of it, it's actually quite funny. It's a hilarious experience. And I mean, I think a lot of life is like that. It's like you get so anxious about day-to-day interactions, but I mean, honestly, take a step back. It's quite funny.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. What do you think?
I loved it too. This kind of movie isn't normally my cup of tea, but like I was enthralled by it from start to finish. Um, just like the amount of creativity that is shown off in such a short, in like, well, literally short amount of time. The movie's like an hour and 15 minutes or something, but also in such a close quarters. And it's just so intimate and personal. Some of those scenes totally reminded, like, I felt like they were one step away from like being a scene from Mother. Like
Oh God,
the
yeah,
camera's just like close on her, and there's just like people like pulling her around, and there's like everyone's talking, and it's like, and there's the scene I'm thinking of actually like gave me goosebumps because it's one of my biggest pet. Like I cannot stand watching people eat, and there's like this exaggerated moment of people like eating in her face. It like cuts to like four different people like slurping down gross foods,
oh
and like she's like starting to panic.
yeah.
That's what gives me anxiety. Not all the bickering and stuff isn't even as bad when it comes to that. That was literally like I was like getting the hairs of my arms were raising up, and I was like, oh God, Jesus. But
Yeah. Um, yeah, the scene that really got me, um, first of all, I have to say, I mean, I'm totally with you. I think that the comparison to Mother is that's an amazing comparison. Good thinking there. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
Mother's the movie version of this.
Yeah.
This is the version of Mother.
Yeah.
But her dad is played by, I mentioned his name before, Fred Millimand, and he is like, you'd recognize him.
Yeah.
He's like a bigger Jewish guy with a beard, kind of balding head. He was in New Girl for a little bit. He was in Schmidt's Wedding, if you remember New Girl, but he's been in a bunch of
It's been
movies. You
like
would
a
recognize him, and
yeah.
I'm on the verge of saying that he's a national treasure because he is just a hilarious, wonderful human being. He was in Maria Bamford's show as her agent.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, the scene that really got me was when she was looking at the baby and people were yapping at her, and she was like having anxiety about the baby and that just that it exists. And it's like it's growing and growing, and then she sees her dad with the baby, and her dad is making this crazy face that's like, oh, I can't even like mimic it, but it's like, why does his face look like that? And like
Yeah.
that was when I just like lost it. Like I went from like pure anxiety to just like I just started laughing and laughing and laughing.
Yeah. The movie it yeah, the movie's got a weird sense of humor, but it definitely sneaks it in at like perfect times where you'd never really think about like I think it pulls you so far in one direction that when it sneaks in the comedy bits in there, um, they're just it's super effective at it, and they're not like super noticeable. Like it's hard for me to pick out what I thought was funny about it. I just remember smiling for most of the movie because it was like they're constantly slicing the tension with little bits of dialogue or something that were funny in the background, and different things like that. I thought the sound editing was like a standout part of this movie. It's a huge important part. Um,
Yeah,
like you
absolutely.
said, like I think it has pretty much a horror score. Like there's a moment where her and her sugar daddy are like looking at each other across the room. They keep sneaking like just one like quick look, and every time it does that, like a violin like shrieks, and like
Totally, totally. And also they use silence in a really great way in this movie too. Like there
hmm
were a few scenes where it felt like when they were in the living rooms of the house where other people were, it was just constant, just like
yeah,
of rumble of noise of people just talking and stuff. And then she would go like either outside or into a bathroom, and when she was by herself, and it was like
yeah.
silence, And I thought that was like really poignant for the movie.
I just remembered one scene that made me laugh really hard. It's when she's like, she's dishing up food at the buffet and she just keeps sliding it back into like whatever she got. So she'd like, get a sandwich or something. She'd put it on there. Someone start talking to her. Then they walk away and she slides it back down. Like she's dishing up food just for conversation. And then she like gets to like the macaroni salad and does like 5 scoops. Like, oh, okay, so she just really wants the macaroni salad. But then at the end, she slides it all back into the dish again and moves on and never gets
Yeah.
any food. And
Yeah. Me and Shan actually had like a quick conversation about that, whether or not she actually was like bulimic or something, because
oh
throughout the
yeah,
movie, everyone was commenting on her weight and how she
yeah,
was super skinny, and everyone was worried about it. But I don't know. I got the sense that she did eat. She just
yeah,
was also she was also using it as like a way to get out of rooms and just have it be a social thing as well.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean these this character is really complex. Like there's so much going on, like subtext behind. Like they don't tell you a lot of what's going on with her, but she's really good at like insinuating what's happening, behind her eyes and stuff. And I think they do that really well with the atmosphere and just like the situations they bring up in the movie. Um, it's really cool to see how much like ground they cover character wise without saying much or necessarily showing much. It's just a girl having a bad day, and like they get a lot of mileage out of that. It's really great.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting that you say that because it's like it really is like just like the worst day.
Yeah,
And tomorrow it'll be a different day and she can move on and do something totally different, but I almost feel like that bad day was emblematic of her whole like life at that point.
Yeah.
Like all of her insecurities were kind of coming to a head in that moment, in that
Mm-hmm.
bad day. That she has, a question mark for her future. That she's lying about being a babysitter. That
Mm.
she is like sleeping with this guy that has no future. That she has no future with. That her ex girlfriend is very successful, and it's like she's just like grappling with all these things, and it's kind of a part of being young. I mean,
Yeah.
even I mean, I think we all still have those insecurities. I know I do. I get like pretty stressed out and like, am I making the right choices and all of that. But it's, it's really it's really cool how they did it in this movie with how they had all of that in one day, and they found a way to like really show what this character is going through in just one location and one setting.
You know what? This movie is. It's a coming of age movie, but it's almost like if you took a standard coming of age movie that like follows this storyline from A to B, and it ends up, at the endings, like the party scene where like everything collides and stuff. This movie's kind of just a deep dive on just that scene and like
Yeah,
everything culminating, and it's a really interesting take on like that moment in someone's life, which we see movies tackle all the time. But it's just cool to see them like really zoom in closely on this one and like see how it works out and unfolds and stuff.
totally, totally. So, yeah, do you want to do like a quick spoiler section? I just kind of
Sure.
want to talk about the ending a little bit.
Yeah.
So, let's just do a quick spoiler section. So from this point on will be spoilers. You know, we've already talked about the characters and stuff,
Yeah.
so it is what it is. But spoilers after this point, so turn it off if you don't want to be spoiled. So two things, I guess. The very, very ending, and I guess just the very ending. So the
Like
very
the final
ending,
scene.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I just loved that final scene so
Yeah.
much. So in that final scene, when her dad drives up in the van, he pulls the van around, and it's like this old, like old stylish van.
mm,
Just think of a van, and
old
that's what it
Astro
is.
van from
Astro
like the
van.
90s or 80s or something.
And again, her dad, Fred Milliman, is just like a national treasure, and he basically convinces everyone that she's been talking to get a ride home in the van. So like her ex girlfriend gets in with her, and her ex girlfriend's mom, and then um the baby daddy and his wife and their baby come out, and he convinces them to get a ride too. He was like, "Come on, why call a car? I'll give you a ride." They're like, "Okay, fine." So they slide into the van, and then there's this old lady there's this old lady who's like, "Oh, I think I might have overbooked," but he somehow slides her
Shoves her
into.
in.
It just the way the comedy came together in that moment was just so pure,
Yeah.
and oh gosh, I just loved it so much.
Yeah, that scene's great, and it's hard. It's a kind of a weird picture to paint, but it's like at least 5 minutes long. Like it's
Oh
they
my
spend a
gosh.
lot of time like shoving people in the van, and there's like a whole storyline behind the van too. Like something happened with a different car, so like all the dad's stuff is shoved in the back, and it's like
Just
spilling
like
over
stuff just
onto people.
falling out. And then he finally gets in the driver's seat and he can't find his keys. Like it's just like, it's honestly like it is a microcosm of the whole movie, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion, because it is like the worst case scenario. It's like exactly what you would not ever want to happen,
Mm-hmm.
but it's happening, and ultimately, it's not that bad.
Yeah,
It's like ultimately,
it's
it's
kind of
like
the lesson at the end.
yeah, ultimately it's pretty funny. It's like this is just hilarious. This is just like eye roll at your dad. Oh, I can't believe I'm sitting here. This is so awkward. And then she ends up. It's a very sweet moment where she ends up holding hands with her ex girlfriend, and it. You mentioned earlier they have tremendous chemistry, and it feels right. It's one of those things where it just like I saw them holding hands, and I was just like, clap.
Yeah,
Great ending.
yeah,
Great ending. The movie came together. Thumbs up.
yep.
And my wife Shan, she's going, man, I wish this was a main series because I would love to watch like 5 more of these 75-minute movies about these people because this is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it really goes to show you what you can do with like a small budget and like just some solid actors, great director, and great script. Like there's not a lot to this movie, but it's pretty amazing, and I think it visually, like, it looks like it's probably a pretty hard movie to pull off, just because like the talent behind the camera and in front of it's just so top notch from beginning to end. Um,
Yeah, the staging alone, just
yeah,
having all
yeah.
those people in one house and
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
I mean, there's like crazy scenes just with the staging where like there's like a scene where she's having this pretty intense conversation with her baby daddy. Like he's kind of telling her that they need to stop sleeping together, and they're in the kitchen, and it's pretty tense.
yeah.
And they're pretty close to each other, and then all of a sudden there's this old lady that's standing behind them,
She
and
was
she's
in
going,
there already.
she was in that kitchen already, and she's
Mhm.
going, is there another bathroom? There, the guy in there is taking so long, and they're all like, there's another bathroom upstairs, go upstairs. And then the camera like spins, and the guy's wife is like in the door
Also,
frame.
yeah, that's
And
like that's a good like showcase of like how quickly that movie like wields emotions, because it's like they're talking, it's really intense, and then the lady breaks the silence, you're like, oh no, but then she like can't hear. And
right.
so like she didn't hear, you're like, oh okay, so it's funny, but then it pans to the wife and you're like, oh no. Like
Right.
maybe she heard. Yeah.
I mean, and then, she didn't hear, she knows.
Right. Yeah.
She knows something's up. But
Mm.
man, I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, like I said, I'd watch it again. I really, if people aren't turned off by like sex,
Yeah.
because I mean there is like sex stuff in this movie. There's like a lot of it.
Yeah.
But if you're not turned off by that, then I would recommend it for basically anyone.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you think? What would your star rating be for this movie?
um you know I'm probably gonna let it sit a little bit longer. I feel comfortable saying like probably a 4.5. Like I really, really liked it. Um, I'm not sure if it'll go higher or not, but I feel pretty comfortable 4.5.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking the same. Honestly, I was thinking four.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's like, for me, it's like very easy to give a movie like this 4 stars because it's like, yeah, it was solid all the way around. I liked it tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's only 75 minutes, so like, how good could it be?
Right.
That's kind of like, can I give a movie that's only 75 minutes like 4.5? Like,
Right.
that's kind of like my bias in there. But now that we're talking about it, I'm like, yeah, I would recommend this to basically anyone. So
Well, and I feel like a
probably
lot
four
of
and a half.
the technical aspects of the movie are still really impressive. Like for
Yeah,
how small it is and like how short it is, like they do some stuff that's really hard to pull off. And yeah, I think
totally.
I think they earned it.
Yeah. So I think we can wrap it up then. Though that
Yeah.
was Shiva Baby, and like I said, it's available on video on demand. So rent it whenever you can. Highly recommend it. So next week, um, Sean's gonna be back from vacation, and me and him are gonna be doing "Those Who Wish Me Dead." It's the new movie by Taylor Sheridan. I think he's directing it. He's a writer. Like he wrote Hell or High Water, and
Sicario.
Sicario, and then he directed Wind River and wrote that one. So I think this is his second um, directorial movie, but could be wrong. But I'm pretty sure it's just his second. But I was a big fan of Wind River and the other ones
It's the
too,
only one
Hell
I
or High
haven't
Water.
seen, but I've heard it's really good.
Um, So yeah, really excited about that. Might go to the theater for it. We'll see if I can. But yeah, that's next week. So we'll be doing Those Who Wish Me Dead. It'll also be available on HBO Max this weekend too. So
Oh,
if
cool.
you can't make it to the theater, it will be on HBO Max.
Yeah.
So with that, I'm gonna say goodnight, and I'm just going to say, don't forget to take care of yourself and others. Be kind.
Aw, that's sweet.
So, peace out.
All right. Bye, everyone.